How can you build a Docker image? Well, let's quickly recap what a Docker image is. Think of Docker images as templates out of which containers are created. Docker images are typically stored in registries, which can be public, such as Docker Hub, or they can be private registries if you want to store stuff which is specific to your organization or your project. Docker images are created from Docker files. Now, to list Docker images on a machine, use the Docker images command. Here are the two main ingredients for a Docker file. First, it's going to indicate from which image it's created, and then it's going to copy some files. You can think of it as some sort of hierarchy system. You create your own Docker image starting from some other image. You can either start from a very small image or use an image with more out-of-the-box functionality. And on top of that image, you copy your own files, such as source code for your project. Of course, there is more to it. There are more commands that you can run, expose ports, do more fun stuff. But that's just enough to get started. Let's look at an example. First of all, let's create a small file which we are going to include in our Docker image. I'm going to use my favorite text editor, Nano, and call this data.txt. And here, just write 123 and save the file. Then exit the editor. What do we have in this file? Just this small string. Now let's create the Docker file. This name is a convention. You can use some other name, but that's sort of the default name for a Docker file. And I'm going to use this for this demo. And which are those two commands? First of all, from, and just use the Alpine Docker image. And then just copy the data.txt file to the TMP folder in the Docker image. That's it. Super simple. Obviously, it doesn't do much, but it's good enough for the example. Let's save this and exit. Let's look again at the Docker file. And we just have these two commands. All right, let's build this. Docker build -t that and give it a name. Let's say it's just a play image. And put the dot just to say this is do this using the Docker file in the current folder. All right, we need some rights. Obviously, we have a typo. Docker build, not build. Now it's building. All right, some moments later, it finished. Notice that we have the name of the image here, play image, and then we have a tag. The latest tag is used by default. We'll discuss about it in a later video. Which is the command to view images? Exactly, Docker images. And we have the play image that we just created. Well, let's start a container from this image. Docker run interactive terminal for play image and start the sh shell. Inside this container, let's have a look at the TMP folder. There we go. That's our data.txt file. Just to be sure, let's check out its content. And we have the 123 string. Perfect. So what did we achieve here? We created a very basic Docker image starting from an existing image named Alpine, on which we copied a small file. Someone might say, hey, that file doesn't have much. Indeed. But think about adding there the source code for your projects. Maybe have some Python files or some JavaScript files. You can copy those to the Docker image and run something more complex. Now that you know how to build Docker images, feel free to play around and build your own Docker images.